Live around Australia on SEN Track. Welcome to Bensley.
Good morning, Australia. Welcome to your national racing program. Bensley heard Monday to Thursday mornings across SEN Track. The radio signals everywhere around Australia. And, of course, we've got the SEN radio app. So let's hope we're going to help you in the next 25 minutes. We're going to have a special preview of the Golden Slipper and the All-Star Mile. We're also going to be chatting about the Country Mile Series race coming up at Flemington on the weekend. We'll go to New Zealand and lots of other news around the traps. This morning, following 10 mil of rain in the last 24 hours at Rose Hill, that track is now a heavy 8. It is okay in Sydney as we speak. We've just got to hope that it hangs around, although Saturday's forecast, they are suggesting 4 to 8 mil of rain, so we don't really need that unless you're a fan of Colette or another horse that does like it wet. Flemington, it's a good 4 at this stage heading towards the All-Star Mile Day. So we're going to preview it for our listeners that have joined us all around Australia. We're going to help you hopefully with Dean Evans from Winning Edge Investments. Treat betting like a business and make sure you gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858. Dean is joining us to look first up at the Golden Slipper, and then Andrew Hawkins from the VRC will join us to have a look at the Flemington All-Star Mile. Dean Evans, good morning. And we're about to have a chat with Dean to talk to him online with all the setup around today's Golden Slipper. And
you can't hear me, Andrew?
I can now. Good morning to you, Dean.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good. Looking forward to this. I know there's trainers and I know there's listeners that will like a bit of rain, but it's not ideal. You just want the Golden Slipper to be run on a reasonably good track, don't you?
Yeah, look. Ideally, that's the case, but I'd say probably at least half the cases we do end up running on a slow or heavy track. So it's something we just need to get used to at this time of year in Sydney. And like you say, there was a fair downpour yesterday. That was a bit of a surprise, and now the forecast is developing for a fair bit of rain on Saturday morning potentially. So I think we're going to be operating on a heavy track, and it's just having to adjust your form and your assessments to suit those horses that are fit and can handle it.
Well, right now, in regard to the Longines Golden Slipper, the favourite is Coolangatta, $5. Sir Jardin at $6.50. Best of Bordeaux is at $9. Then we go to Fireburn at $11 and She's Extreme at $9, with Brett Preble jumping aboard her this morning out at Randwick just to get a feel before Saturday. So the big question, Dean, I guess that I'm going to pose is, do we favour Coolangatta off not having a run since January?
Look, it's very tough. It's very tough to do. The only horse I can think of in recent times that came off a reasonable break was Sebring, winning off, from memory, I think it was about a 7-week break that Gay Waterhouse was able to manage. But in normal circumstances, I would say it's a very hard thing to do, particularly on a heavy track. The challenge, of course, is that the Mar Eustace stable continue to prove time and time again that when you try to defy them from a historical perspective, they just sort of laugh in your face and make you look silly. Things like what they're doing with Hitotsu, winning an Australian Guineas first up and a Derby third up off a mile run. They just seem to keep managing to do these things that other trainers can't do. So it's hard to deny Coolangatta, but I'm gonna again risk having egg on my face. But I just I remember talking about her with you before the Gimcrack, and she was a brilliant filly, and she bolted in and she won the Magic Millions, and she's always been very good. But I think they've been trying to avoid a wet track. I think a wet track first up off a 63-day break makes it difficult, and I just have to bet around her at the price.
She's been favourite since going back to the Gimcrack. I think it was probably when she was installed the favourite. It's been a remarkable rise considering that 3 runs only, and the last of those back in early January. How do you see it then? How do you see I spoke earlier on SEN Track to a number of people through the week about the barriers and what they've done with the pace. There looks to be really good pace spread right across.
Yeah, there's plenty of speed here, and like you say, it's right across, which usually means plenty of speed because you've got these horses drawn inside and outside that like to go quick. Horses like Rise of the Masses, Best of Bordeaux, Semillon, and Queen of the Ball in particular. They're all really going to want to be pushing to the front, and then you got horses like sort of Coolangatta, Sweet Ride, Lady Laguna, and Seven Veils who also want to be, they want to be forward of midfield. So there's certainly plenty of speed, both drawn inside and out wide, which suggests that there'll be a fair bit of speed on. What's interesting about this race that people don't talk about much is over the last 18 Golden Slippers, when reviewing the videos, 16 of them were on the rails before the turn. So it's quite an unbelievable sort of piece of info for jockeys, jockey managers, trainers, and owners to be aware of when they're forming their race day plans for this race. That always has a capacity field. It often comes down to luck and running, but it's quite incredible that virtually every winner of this race was on the rails in the run, and wet tracks that even seems to be more pronounced. It's a tough 1,200 meters for these horses, and it's a hard race to win. And in fact, the first one for a long time to defy that was Stay Inside last year. He sat on the 1-1 and bolted in, but before then we had a real string of horses leading all the way. In fact, 3 in a row of horses leading all the way on the fence, and horses on the fence. So it's a real tactical race. In the last 10 years, 2 9 winners have come out of either the Todman or the Riesling, 2 weeks before. And so that's an important stat too. That always seems to be the key lead up for this race.
Well, given all that then, I'm just trying to work out now who's come through those races, but I'm more interested. So you're saying with that inside position, you've mentioned the leaders, but not necessarily leaders have won it either, that they've been on the rail but have been able to weave a path after running on the inside rail.
That's the key. It's making sure that you find the fence. She Will Rain came from long way back, but made a beeline for the rails. It came along the rails. And people remember Feelin' Ready, who came out of the Magic Millions at 40-1, on a heavy track. It was out the back and it just came along the rails. It's very pronounced. And if you can bet in the run and back the horses you like on the fence, you come a long way. Unfortunately, it's hard to know which horses are just going to make a beeline for the fence, but you don't want to be caught out wide in this race. It's extremely hard to win.
Okay, so Adrian Botter's been on with us this morning, and people can go and listen to the podcast of that for an audience that have just joined us all around Australia. He's saying with Rise of the Masses that we're going to be positive and we'd like to take the lead. So then I look at Queen of the Ball from where it's drawn. It might be one that could get that run, Dean.
Yeah, well, I like the fact that they're leading on Rise of the Masses, and you'll recall only a couple of years ago, a horse called Kiyomichi won this race at 20-1, backing up off the 7-day backup, which on heavy tracks is, it's really important to have that fitness, and horses who back up are really good betting propositions on those heavy tracks. So a horse like Rise of the Masses, I actually quite like, even though he doesn't have the class of the others, just because he's going to lead all the way, and he's got that rock hard fitness. Queen of the Ball is a good horse. I've got a query on her in the wet, though. Her one flop was sort of when there was a bit of wet, and so I think that's a bit of a concern for her. I do like the 2 Peter Snowden horses. I think Russian Conquest, didn't quite handle the track last time, and so he's, I'm hoping the track will be a little bit better for him. But what we do know about the Snowden camp is they really peak their horses for the main event. They've won a lot of Golden Slippers with horses who flopped in that 2-week race beforehand and then got them ready on the day. His run on the Magic Millions prior, where he ran, Coolangatta to a nose, was huge, and I think he really rates well. And the other horse is a horse we spoke about before, the Blue Diamond, which was Revolutionary Miss, who I was very keen on the race and was just a very unlucky second. She was got a back wide, no cover, was clearly the best run of the race. And, if you swap the runs with Dormier, she would have won. And I think that she's a very good filly as well. So I do like Revolutionary Miss and Russian Conquest from the Snowden stable.
Okay, well, Revolutionary Miss is at 19, Russian Conquest at 13. So time's on the wing, given that we've got other Group 1s to think. So if you're putting in Revolutionary Miss, have you got Doomy or the Blue Diamond winner in your field?
I have him on the cusp, but not quite. I just think that Revolutionary Miss is a better horse. The others I think are in the mix are Charlatan, who ran a good third in the Todman, which has always proven a good lead up. And I think that Joe Pride's really set him for this, and he's a very good trainer at setting horses for races. I like She's Extreme, who's another one on the quick backup. I just think that's going to be useful in a slipper on a heavy track. And Sajardin's the other one, Portelli's won a Golden Slipper, and Sir Jarden won the Todman Stakes, which is the key lead up. So if you like it, it's got all the historical profiling to suggest that it's going to be a real key player.
So 9 and 10, Revolutionary Miss, Russian Conquest. Others there, Charlatan for 16, She's Extreme, and 2, Sir Jarden are the others that you've included. Of course, you can get more by going to winningedgeinvestments.com. Tips and ratings from professional punters throughout this autumn carnival. Make sure you gamble responsibly. We've got 4 other Group 1s, Dean, and I haven't told you where I was going because I like to keep people on their toes. I'm going to go to the Galaxy, because I just love it. I mean, I know the Rosehill Guineas has got that 3 or 4 3-year-olds that we can't wait to see, but the makeup of this race, and no wonder we're getting some good prices on some very good horses.
Yeah, that's right. It's a really good field this year, really competitive field, and it's always an intriguing race, and it's one of those races. There's not a lot from the historical profiling perspective, to be honest. It just throws up a mixture of winners based on very different preps, different ages, different genders. It's a real open race. We talked about Isotope in the horses to follow.
Yep.
And she's very, very high quality. And she's a deserved favourite, I think, at $4. But she's got some stiff competition. Bella Nipotina has just been flying since joining the Mar Eustace camp. She was a Group 3 winner last prep, beating the nose in the Group 1 Manicato, third to Nature Strip in the VRC Sprint. And her first up run, she pulled up lame, and I think that helps to explain that below par run, so that the juice out of the track might help her. So I think she's a really big price, Bella Nipotina. We know about In the Congo from the spring. We had a lot of fun with him through the campaign and winning the Golden Rose. And he's a very talented galloper too. Minaj is absolutely flying for John O'Shea. I think there were excuses first up in the Oakley Plate, and away games, just an iron mare for Mar Eustace, who was beaten half a length in the Group 1 last start. So like you say, it's a hot field, and I'm still keen on Isotope, but I think there's opportunity to play around a few others, because horses of the quality of Bella Nipotina in the Congo, Minaj are all double figure odds.
Well, Bella Nipotina at the moment is $26. In the Congo at $13. Away games at $12. Isotope's the favourite at $3.80. Gets safely into Sydney this morning, floating down from Brisbane. Just one that we spoke with James Cummings about, and I know many of our audience didn't hear it, so it is available at Bensley SEN Track, the full interview on your podcast. But Palele has obviously been aimed here by James. Limit weight, or down in the weights, and $10 right now. What's your gut instinct here off the Eskimo Prince?
Look, the horse is a multiple Group 2, Group 3 winning sprinter, and was good first up in the Eskimo Prince. Rachel King hasn't won a Group 1 race before, but she's won plenty of Group 2s and Group 3s. I do penalise that. I've got Paul Ailey sort of 6th rated at the moment. So, I think he's certainly a 3-year-old capable of winning, but you can't have them all. And just at the price, I'll be betting around him.
Let's just talk about the Rosehill Guineas before we go with Andrew Hawkins and have a chat about the All-Star Mile. So this race, the Guineas, we've got Animo, who's clear favourite. What price are we looking at the moment? Animo, $2. Converge, $3.80. Profondo at $5.50. And Forgot You is at $9. They are the dominating 4. We're very resilient with Animo. We know that, some feel that he should have won the protest in the 2000 Cox Plate, the 2,000 metres. What's your instinct here?
Well, I said to you in the horses to follow that I thought Converge could win the Roundwood Guineas, Rosehill Guineas, and the Derby at the time. It looks like they're planning to go back to the Doncaster.
Yeah.
He did the job for us in the Roundwood Guineas. I still think he's underrated, and I still think he can win this race as well. I think being by Frankel and trained by Gay, he's going to eat up the 2,000 metres. I think it's really going to suit him. Animo, there's no knock on him, but you're taking sort of $1.80, $1.90 versus $3.70 about Converge. And I just think Converge can tactically take that better position, and then Animo has to run down a very good horse on a heavy track. And so, I think it's pretty much a 2-horse race between those two. But I'm just, again, going to be sticking with Converge, because I've just had a really big rap on this horse all the way through. He did the job in the Randwick Guineas, and I think that he can run a really strong 2,000 metres.
Yeah, I think just the way he quickened up, gee, it was exciting the other day. So there's a few of the features for Rose Hill. As we do this, it's a heavy 8. We'll wait and see what that weather does on Saturday morning, particularly now off the forecast. Dean Evans is joining us here with our preview for Saturday's features, and Andrew Hawkins, working for the Victoria Racing Club at Flemington, is joining us as well. Morning, Andrew. How's the dog this morning?
The dog is quiet. He's asleep. Hopefully he stays asleep. We're hoping that he doesn't make a noise this week.
Oh, come on. We want the dog back. The build-up to this race, a $5 million race, like the Golden Slipper is this year. The stars are there. We can't wait to see Zaki, and I'm thunderstruck. But I think there'll be many people, Andrew, that are excited that Pinstriped has made the race.
I think Pinstriped is the fairy tale story that everyone would love to see get that victory. Obviously, Enver's had this horse going so well, luckless in the Australian Guineas, but a horse that is still on the rise. And look, I think hopefully after he performs well on Saturday, wherever he finishes, let's hope that Enver's able to get a second Pinstripe suit, because at the moment he still only has the one.
He does. He said that to us this morning. Only the one. Let's hope he can get another one. So, Dean, the All-Star Mile make-up to you, 15 lining up in the race. How does it settle here for these horses like Zaki and I'm Thunderstruck and even Cascadian? Is there going to be good pace for them?
Yeah, there's a decent speed here. Streets of Avalon and Lightsaber like to dictate, so that they'll be pushing forward to lead, and my speed map's got them putting on a decent tempo. You got the likes of Tafani and Call Sign Mav and Mr. Brightside, who like to be handy, and they won't let them slacken off too much. And then Zaki and Luna Fox will sort of be handy as well. So there's a decent sort of speed there that I think sort of suits the bunch of Inspirational Girl, I'm Thunderstruck, and Captivant, who'll be just worse in midfield, but not too far back. And I think the map works out quite well for all of them. Probably the only concern about I'm Thunderstruck is I would have liked him a lot more if he'd drawn out rather than the inside gate. But he's certainly top quality, and I think he's going to get the right speed on at least.
We just don't want him to get a pinstripe from last run back on the inside and absolutely nowhere to go over that final stages. So the class, can it prevail, Dean? Are you looking at the obvious, or are you looking for some value in the race?
Well, yeah, look, Zaki is absolutely the class runner. He's a multiple dominant Group 1 winner. His peak ratings are sort of that 1,800 to 2,200. He was solid first up, although he did get to be on pace on a very slow speed and still got round down. I think Zaki's a saver bet, but I'm quite keen on Inspirational Girl. She was a Group 1 winning mare from WA, and then she charged home from the back of a slow speed in the Blamey to run Zaki down. Zaki's going to take improvement from that, but so is Inspirational Girl. And I think, I have her really as the one to beat at double the price of Zaki. And, I do think I'm Thunderstruck has been absolutely set for this. He was an unlucky third in the Sir Rupert before winning the Toorak and the Golden Eagle last prep. And then, he sort of wasn't wound up for the Ore, and was very unlucky in the Futurity. He should have finished a lot closer. And if it wasn't for the inside draw, I'd be very keen on both Inspirational Girl and I'm Thunderstruck to potentially knock off Zaki.
Inspirational Girl, $6 at Bet365. I'm Thunderstruck at $8.50. Sorry, my eyes are going. $6.50. And Zaki, the favourite, at $3.50. I want to come back and talk more with you, Dean, about the race. But Andrew, what's your overview? Who do you think wins the All-Star Mile?
I do think that Blamey form does look the right form line. I'm going to be interested to see here. Zaki had so many favours there, but then Zaki does also meet Inspirational Girl 4 kilos better at the weights. Looking at the Blamey pre-race, Inspirational Girl at the weights just looked so well weighted there, and I think that's allowed her to overcome that slow speed. I'm Thunderstruck. If he hadn't drawn the inside, I think I'd be chips in on him. I think with him, I know he's done most of his racing at Caulfield, and that's been the case since he's come across. And obviously, when Mick and Michael were based at Caulfield, it was setting him out there. But the thing is, I'm still not convinced that he's completely suited around Caulfield. Flemington with his sort of turn of foot, I've always thought Flemington was a better track for him. He's only raced once at Flemington, and he did win by 4 lengths over a very promising horse in Tuvalu, who on his day, we know he goes very, very well. So I think you're going to know your fates at the 700 with I'm Thunderstruck. I think if Jai's managed to extricate him off the fence and getting the right run behind the right horse in, I think I'm Thunderstruck going to win. But for me, I'm Thunderstruck, Zaki, the clear 2, Inspirational Girl just off them, and it does look that sort of a straightforward race. But I mean, we've seen the 3-year-old step up before, time and time again, in the short history of the race, and who knows what these 3-year-olds are capable of this year. I think it's going to be really interesting to see them clashing here, especially looking ahead towards a race like the Doncaster, where we are going to see that real clash between the 3-year-olds and the older horses.
Well, the one thing, Andrew, that the owners of Captivant want was good ground, and that's expected. There's meant to be some slight chance of one, or not even that, around 1 mil tomorrow, so they'd water anyway at Flemington. But that's what they wanted, a firm track with Captivant to run in this race.
And that's, as you say, that's what they're getting. I mean, the weather in Melbourne has been outstandanding. Although, to be fair, the weather in Sydney has been very good of late as well. But I think when I say of late, I mean
where have you been?
The last couple of days.
Oh, the last couple. I was going to say.
I was going to say yes. No, the last couple of days. I flew down to Melbourne on the weekend, and it was lovely. But I've been in Sydney for the most part, and what
you need to do is take your dog for a walk, because fair dinkum you get wet.
I don't know where you were yesterday, Andrew, but it was I don't.
No, it was wet. It was wet yesterday morning. Then it was great yesterday afternoon. But you're right. In Melbourne, getting fantastic weather. Captivant's going to get that good ground, and we can see throughout his career. I mean, I think he's had something like 8 starts on soft ground. He's been placed a number of occasions, but just hasn't been able to show that same level of performance that he's been able to show on good tracks. So they'll get that nice ground there. And look, I walked the track at Flemington last week. I'm sure that it'll be the same this week. It'll just be perfect ground for racing.
I reckon Ice Bath's the knockout, because I reckon the horse runs well at Flemington. We saw that back in the Cantala, and just with that right run, I think that Ice Bath can be there. It's huge odds, 23 and $5 the place. Just coming back to you, Dean, with Inspirational Girl, and this will be a final one because time is nearly out on the wing, but Inspirational Girl hadn't won a race since November 2020. And then the Blamey, so nearly 2 years apart. Do you trust that the horse, she's in just the right feel now to do it back to back?
Yeah, I do. I think she's flying. I think the sectional times that she ran, plus 10.5 for the last 600, the second quickest of the day, in her win, they're really strong numbers. I think she's just absolutely flying.
Absolutely flying, Inspirational Girl for sure.
She had some injury problems and that sort of thing after WA, but I think Danny O'Brien's got her back to her best, and I think she's going to be hard to beat.
It's going to be a classic race for sure. Flemington will be alive with activity. We know we've had 2 previous weeks of good crowds, good atmospheres right through the day. So, Andrew, I know the VRC's done a lot of work in entertaining the crowd outside the racing, but even the jockeys are saying it's just so good coming back, and they're starting to run out of goggles on race days.
They are. They're throwing them into the crowd. I mean, it's been for me personally a reminder of why I really enjoy racing, and having those crowds back has just really taken racing to another level. It's been great racing over the last couple of years, but just having that atmosphere. I was lucky enough to be just on the clock tower for both the Newmarket and the Australian Cup, and watching the jockeys come back and the atmosphere and the reception, especially when Josh Parr came back after winning on Duis.
Yeah.
You forget just how special it is, and I think that it's only going to continue. Obviously, as we build into the autumn up in Sydney as well, I think that it's going to be a great few weeks coming up.
Guys, great to have you on the program again. Andrew, enjoy your Flemington day, and that weather should be okay come Saturday.
Well, let's hope I can get it better than my bureau description of the last few days. Anyway,
you'll be right. Good on you, mate. Have a good day.
Looking forward to a good day's racing.
Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers.
Andrew Hawkins there. And Dean, lots of information can be found winningedgeinvestments.com. Tips and ratings from professional punters throughout the Autumn Carnival, but make sure you gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858. Dean, again, great information, particularly around the slipper and where those youngsters need to be off all the runnings of that race. Have a good weekend.
Thanks very much, Andrew. 5 Group 1s and an All-Star Mile. It's a brilliant day again for racing fans.
It's just like waking up on Christmas morning. Good on you, Dean. Dean Evans there from Winning Edge Investments. Around Australia, it's SEN Track and the Bensley program.